How quantum physics is rewriting the reality we are made of. We live in a world that seems solid, predictable, and reliable. We feel the weight of our own bodies, lean on sturdy chairs, and feel the warmth of touch. These sensations form the basis of our perception, an intuitive belief that reality consists of dense, tangible things. However, over the past 100 years, science has made a stunning leap into the depths of matter, and what it has discovered there turns our ideas upside down. Quantum physics, the most accurate and proven theory in human history, asserts that the world we consider material is in fact an illusion. At its most fundamental level, there is no solidity, no familiar objects. There are only fields, probabilities, and a vast, almost incomprehensible amount of emptiness. This informational release is an invitation to journey beyond the senses, to discover what you and the entire universe are really made of. Section 1. The Paradox of Emptiness, or Why You Have Never Touched Anything. Imagine placing your hand on a table. You feel its smooth, cool surface, its resistance. It seems obvious that the atoms of your hand are touching the atoms of the table. But this is not the case. In fact, you have never touched any object in the literal sense of the word. Each atom consists of a tiny but massive nucleus and a cloud of electrons surrounding it. These electrons carry a negative charge. When the atoms of your hand approach the atoms of the table at a microscopic distance, their electron clouds begin to interact. Since like charges repel each other, a powerful force arises between them, electromagnetic repulsion. This force grows exponentially as they get closer, creating an invisible but incredibly strong barrier. What we perceive as touch and hardness is merely the sensation of resistance from this barrier. Your fingers hover a few angstroms, 10 billionths of a meter, above the surface of the table, supported by a field of invisible energy. At this moment, you are not touching the table. You are levitating above it, separated by fields of invisible energy. The same principle underlies the integrity of any object. It is electromagnetic repulsion that prevents you from falling through the floor and the walls of your house from crumbling into dust. The force that prevents you from touching anything is also the force that holds the world together and gives it shape. The atoms themselves, which make up everything, are also mostly empty space. If you enlarged an atom to the size of a football stadium, its nucleus, protons and neutrons, would be the size of a grain of sand lying in the center of the field. The electrons spinning around it would be like specks of dust somewhere near the outer stands. All the space between them is a vacuum. More than 99.9% of the volume of any atom is empty space. And since you are made up of atoms, you too are mostly empty space. If it were hypothetically possible to remove all the emptiness from the atoms of all the people on Earth, all of humanity, about 8 billion lives, thoughts, and dreams would fit into the volume of a regular sugar cube. This idea does not diminish our significance, but reveals its true nature. We are not matter, but structure. Our form and existence are determined not by building blocks, but by the forces and patterns that organize emptiness. Section 2. Wave or particle. The dual nature of all things. The classical world divides everything into two categories. There are particles, stones, grains of sand, and there are waves, sound, ripples on water. But in the quantum world, this division loses its meaning. Everything we thought of as particles can behave like waves, and vice versa. This phenomenon is called wave-particle duality. The famous double-slit experiment became key evidence of this. Imagine that you are firing electrons, particles, one at a time at a barrier with two narrow slits. Behind the barrier is a screen that records where they land. If the electrons were just tiny balls, they would leave two clear stripes on the screen. But the result was different. An interference pattern appeared on the screen, alternating light and dark stripes, characteristic of waves that pass through both slits simultaneously and interact with each other. The conclusion was shocking. Each individual electron somehow passed through both slits at once, interfering with itself. It behaved not as a particle, but as a probability wave. The strangest thing was that as soon as the experimenters tried to set up a detector to find out which slit the electron was passing through, the wave pattern disappeared, and the two stripes appeared on the screen. The very act of observation forced the electron to choose one path and behave like a particle. Reality changed, depending on whether we were looking at it or not. This duality applies to everything. Not only electrons, but also protons and entire molecules can exhibit wave properties. This means that the fundamental components of your body do not have a clear location until an interaction, measurement, occurs. Each electron in your atoms is not a point rotating in orbit, but a blurred cloud of probability described by a wave function. It exists simultaneously in a multitude of possible locations. You are not a static sculpture made of solid particles. You are an incredibly complex, dynamic system consisting of trillions of such probability clouds constantly interacting with each other. Your form is a temporary but stable pattern arising from this fundamental uncertainty. This may sound alarming, but it is precisely this flexibility and uncertainty that allow matter to form complex connections, create chemistry, and ultimately, life. Section 3. Reality is woven from fields, not things. The concept of wave-particle duality leads us to an even deeper understanding. Modern physics, specifically quantum field theory, asserts that the fundamental basis of the universe is not particles, but fields. Imagine that the entire universe is permeated by invisible, all-pervading fields. The electron field, the photon field, the quark field, and so on. These fields are not emptiness. They are the very fabric of reality. What we call particles are merely local excitations or quanta of these fields. An electron is the minimum vibration of the electron field. A photon is the vibration of the electromagnetic field. Particles are events, not things. They are like ripples on water. The ripples are real, they can be measured, they carry energy, but they are not independent objects separate from the water. Mass is not a property of material, but a result of interaction. For example, the Higgs field permeates all space, and particles interact with it to acquire mass. Without it, they would be massless and fly at the speed of light, unable to form atoms. This view completely changes the perspective. You are not made up of solid pieces of matter. You are a self-organizing, incredibly complex symphony of vibrations of various fields, temporarily held in a stable form by the laws of their interaction. Your consciousness, your thoughts, your feelings, all of these are patterns arising from this field activity. Section 4. Practical conclusions and a new philosophy. The realization that our solid, predictable reality is an illusion arising from emptiness, fields, and probabilities may seem purely academic, but it carries with it profound practical and even philosophical conclusions. If, at a fundamental level, you are 99.9% emptiness, and your solidity is merely the result of the interaction of fields, then perhaps the problems that seem so solid and insurmountable to us are also constructs of our perception. Emotional baggage and the pressure of circumstances are also forces, not impenetrable walls. Understanding the fluid, probabilistic nature of reality can help us approach life's difficulties with greater flexibility, without perceiving them as absolute and unchangeable. If everything in the universe is vibrations of unified, all-pervading fields, then the boundaries between I and not I become blurred. The particles that make up your body were once part of stars, nebulae, and perhaps other forms of life. The fields that form you extend far beyond your body, connecting you to the entire universe. This is not esotericism, but a direct consequence of modern physics. We are not isolated objects. We are part of a unified, vibrating network of reality. Conclusion: the world is like music. Quantum physics shows us that the universe is more like a grand musical piece than a complex mechanism. Particles are notes, fields are strings, and the laws of physics are the harmony that governs their sound. We are used to perceiving the world as a collection of frozen objects, but in reality, it is a continuous process, a dynamic event. You are not a statue, you are a dance. This knowledge does not devalue our experience. On the contrary, it enriches it, adding depth and wonder to the most ordinary things. The next time you feel solid ground beneath your feet, remember that you are actually floating above it, repelled by an invisible force field. You are a structure of emptiness, a cloud of probabilities, a symphony of vibrating fields. And that doesn't make you any less real, it makes you a miracle. Well, dear listeners, I hope you found this interesting. Please note that the channel has a blog on Patreon and Ko-fi, where various exclusive materials are published. So join us, subscribe, and get more useful and interesting information and knowledge.